Hello, I am back again. I'm not sure if my audio is working right now for some reason. Let me check here. Does not seem like it's working. Let me try this. Oh, you can hear me, Cassandra? Awesome. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was working. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm back here for chapter 4. Oh, and Daniel's here today. Hey, Daniel. Great to see you. Thanks for joining. Um, so we left off in the couple days ago with chapter 3 with Adam and Eve getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and we're going to pick right up on chapter 4. So here it goes. Starts off Adam yada eschav ishto, and Adam knew his wife Eve, Vitar vateled as Cain, and they gave birth to Cain. Vatomer Kanisi Ish Es Hashem. And Eve said that this, he calls her son Cain, he calls him a man. I've acquired this man with God. Um, I was thinking actually as I opened up with this that it says Adam Yada as Chava, that Adam knew Chava. I was hoping that I could interpret that as after Eve sinned, then Adam finally knew who she was. But I saw in the commentaries that this is actually before. It's not in chronological order. That this is actually before they were kicked out of Eden. So it wasn't. It was prior to the sin. So that interpretation would not work. Jacob is here. The most important chapter to disprove Christianity, other than all the other chapters, which also disprove Christianity. Okay, I'm going to leave that to you, Jacob. That's in your court. Okay. Vatosef Ledes es Achiv es. Actually, the only other thing I want to mention about this first verse before continuing to the second verse is that um, this reference of God of Adam knowing Eve is a reference to them actually having sex, and that the deepest level of knowledge in of knowing someone is through sex. And I think what's really interesting about this is actually John Vervaeke, when he talks about the four P's, the four levels of knowing, he actually references in his Awakening for the Meaning Crisis series, he references the idea of how the Torah talks about das. And so das would be like the deepest level of getting to know getting to know someone. And he doesn't talk about it from this verse. He talks about it in a different reference, but that framing from John regarding the four P's of knowing really helped me in so many ways, understanding how religion works in general, but also how the Torah speaks. It's not just, the knowledge is not just propositional, but there's so many levels beneath that. Verse 2, Vatosav lenes achiv as Havel, as Havel, and they then continued to have children, and they had Hevel. Vahi Hevel roe tzon, and Hevel was a shepherd. V'Kayin haya oved adama, and Cain was a worker of the field. Sometimes I don't think knowing is profound, but merely euphemistic. Yes, I would agree to that as well. I think it serves both purposes, but I do agree with you. That's an important point, David. And thank you for joining, because so many places in the Torah are using a cleaner form of speech. We see that in the Talmud as well. So I think you're making an important point there. I agree. Verse 3, Vayhi miketz yamim, and it was the end of days, I guess it literally means. Vayave kaim pri adam mincha Hashem, and God and Cain was bringing an offering to God from the fruit of the soil. The Hevel Hevi Gamhu B'Chor Sono Mechabeim, and Hevel also brought from the best of his flock. Vayisha Hashem El Hevel V'Minchaso. And Hashem, so God took Hevel's offering, and the El Minchaso Losha, but to Cain and to his offering he did not accept it. Vayichar l'Cain od vayichul panav, and Cain was very much angered by this, and his literally translates it, his face fell. So, first thing that caught my attention as I'm reading this is that it says Vayihi Miketz Yamim, that it was at the end of days, literally translated. I don't know what that means or what the significance of that terminology is here. And it's also interesting what drove them to bring these sacrifices. I don't know, was there something that happened that triggered them to bring these? It doesn't really say anything here about that. Obviously, you can cue the Jordan Peterson speeches whenever anything about sacrifice is mentioned, but I don't know what the significance here is of bringing a sacrifice at this point. Dave is suggesting trying to get back into Eden. That's interesting. Maybe that's good. That's maybe this is their way to repent, like on behalf of their parents. It's Devar Donnie, time for Torah. Okay, awesome. Thank you, RJ. Thanks for joining. Vayomer Hashem el Cain. And God said to Cain, Lama chara lecha, why are you upset? V'lama nafu panecha, and why has your face fallen? Halo impetiv se'es, v'imlo se'tiv lapesach chatas ruvetz. So God is saying, if you do the right thing, then it sounds like he's saying you'll be redeemed. But imlo se'tiv, but if you do not, then lapesach chatas ruvetz, then the sin is crouching at your door. Ve'elecha tushukaso, and its urge is towards you. Ve'ata timshalbo, and you can be its master. I don't know exactly what this verse means. It seems a bit poetic. I know it's referencing. I know in the rabbinic text it talks about a reference to the evil inclination, that the evil inclination is always waiting for us by the doorway to sort of catch us in his trap. I'm also noticing in this verse that this phrase "ve'elecha tushukaso v'ata timshabal" is also a phrase used to Eve when God is punishing Eve. He says to her that that you will have this urge for your husband, and you will rule over, and he will rule over you. And now God is saying that to Cain in a different context. That I'm not sure when it says Ve'elecha Tishukaso who it's referring to, but David is saying the same point I just mentioned, I think. The desire is the same for your desire will be for your husband, right? Yeah. And you will rule over him. I think what God is saying that is that Cain is able to rule over the evil inclination if he desires to. I think that's what it's saying, but I have to look into that further. If someone has an idea in the comments here, that would be helpful. Moving to verse 8. Vayomer Cain al Hevel achiv, and Cain spoke to Hevel his brother. Vayhi b'yosem asadeh, and they were in the field. Vayekum Cain al Hevel achiv vayergeu, and Cain got up and killed his brother Hevel. I remember a few years back, one of my teachers pointed out that it's interesting that it says Vayomer Kayan Hevel. It indicates that a conversation is starting, but that conversation doesn't ever seem to take place. It sort of cuts off in the verse, and it just goes straight into Kayan killing Hevel. So I don't know if there were actually words spoken here, or it was just the murder just happened. But it doesn't actually say what the the conversation was at the time. Vayomer Hashem El Kayin. Oh, David's joining. Let me add him here. Give me a second.
Hi, Donnie.
Hold on a second. How do I add you to the stage? Oh, here you are.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry.
How you doing?
I have editing privileges.
Wait, I can't hear you for some reason. Give me a second. I can't hear you. Is there an issue with my? Give me 1 second.
Can other people hear me? Well, Yanni says everything's fine. Thank you, guys. Yeah, people can hear. Donnie, can you hear me now? Now we can't hear you. You're muted. Can I unmute him? Am I going to have to type this out? I'm really enjoying the show. I didn't want to bother him. I just wanted to have a conversation. Can you unmute? Where is it?
Get it. Okay, I hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me now. Okay, awesome.
Yes.
So this is my wee theory, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Please.
Is that if you take the notion of, so it's a word common also in Greek, where you desire something that is to be one with it, and you be one with it either sexually or by eating it. So sometimes it's phrased as though it's like a lion, like an animal, like a predator that wants to eat you at the door.
Okay.
But the other word for knowledge, and how it is also used in Genesis just before this,
yeah,
the idea that it wants to make a baby with you.
Okay.
So
how do you translate this? How do you understand this verse from the beginning?
It's a lifting up of the face. Like he's downcast, like literally depressed, right? Depressed meaning the exact same thing. So if you do right, you're going to be lifted up. So you have to fight this thing. You have to, I mean, I don't know how much, it seems like it's almost like a Sodom and Gomorrah situation where they're at the door and they're demanding to make one with.
Got it. So when it says that Ve'elecha tushkaso, that it's like it urges towards you and it urges to kill you, like that's the.
Yeah. So this is part of my interpretation, which just so you know, I am a Christian. Is that we are immediately given a prophecy regarding the descendant that will be of the serpent and of the woman. It's not the serpent that will be crushed. It's the descendant of the serpent that will be crushed. And so to me, it's Cain is being offered an opportunity to become the seed of the serpent. And that this to me, okay, maybe this is too much. You can tell me if it's too symbolic, but it's that Genesis presents us with a problem. Okay. And the problem is, how could good possibly happen if the descendant of the woman is killed by the descendant of the serpent? How could good possibly come forward? And the answer to that question is Joseph. It's Messiah ben Yosef.
Wait, does it repeat the question? How could what was the question again? The framing of it? How could
good possibly come forward?
Yeah.
If the descendant of the serpent wins, right? If the snake bites the heel, then the person dies,
Right.
right? That's like snakes are venomous, right?
Sure.
So how do we move forward?
And how does Joseph solve that?
So this is my idea, or not my idea. This is the rabbinic idea, I believe. But just that God has incorporated men's sin into the plan so that they intend to do evil, but God orchestrates everything so that Joseph saves the world because of his brothers. They don't intend to save the world.
Right.
They
Right.
intend to do evil, but God used it for good.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah. And so a lot of times it's especially within Christianity, there's a New Testament verse that says sin is like a roaring lion, wants to devour you.
Sure.
So you'll get this idea that its desire is one of eating, but I think it's knowledge. It wants to be one with you.
Got it.
And that one, the baby you give birth to is death.
Right, and I guess, right, if when something becomes one, then it actually destroys you, because then you have no identity, right? If
That's
something
right.
is got
That's
it.
right.
Okay.
And I read it in relationship as well to the sin of Adam and Eve, where when it's essentially the same story, because it literally says you won't die, right? Surely die is just the word die twice, right? You're not gonna.
Right.
And I love that because we still use that euphemism, right? It's just like you're not gonna die, right? And they don't. So this is the first death. So it to me is the same. It's the same thing. You're becoming one with, which again, eating or consummation is how you become one with things, and then it's a part of you, right? You eat the fruit, you are now made out of it, right? You sleep with the person, you don't get to, now you are pregnant. Now there's something inside of you.
Sure. And I guess that it makes sense with the language of, and God is also saying at the end of this verse that you can actually rule over, meaning and create that separation. So there is a choice, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And and that ultimately the death that is warned about in Genesis 2, is it Genesis 2 or is it Genesis 3? Yeah. In Genesis 2, the warning about death is fulfilled in the death of Abel. Havel dies, and his response is the same as, right, because the guardian of Israel is Hashem.
Right.
So am I my brother's keeper?
Right.
He's saying, like, this is one of the interpretations, is he's not saying, oh, was I supposed to be in charge? Because in one sense, yes, he is, but there's a reading which I would take because it lines up perfectly with Adam. This isn't my fault. This is the woman who you gave me.
Interesting. Because he's just repeating that, and it really, right. It was the original sin that caused the death. Is the interpretation. I understand what you're saying.
Yes, yeah, and to me, the child does double what the father did, and so where did Solomon get his idea about the multiple women? Might it have been from his father, right?
Sure.
Like, and First Samuel is all about that. Like, well, First and Second Samuel is all about people compromising because of their children, and like the children are almost like tripling down on what the father did, and that's like, to me, that's Cain.
Yeah. Well, how do you understand this next verse about this conversation that seemingly Cain and Abel have, and they don't actually talk? It says they speak, but it doesn't actually give. It actually shows it even in the translation here. It says like ... Like it doesn't say what actually. There was no. It's interesting that.
There's an insertion here in the Greek, and it might be in the Aramaic as well. So in the Septuagint and somewhere else, where it includes that he invites Abel to the field. That he incites him to come. So the idea that thank you, Yanni. Yanni is saying exactly the same thing. So the idea is that he plans to kill Abel. It's not a crime of passion. They try to hint at the idea that going back the verse, that he feels the temptation, and he decides, this is a choice. It's not I don't even know what I did.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, you could say that. I'm gonna continue going through it.
Yeah, keep going.
Awesome. So the next verse, Vayomer Hashem el Cain, Hevel achicha. So God says to Cain, where is Hevel your brother? Vayomer, and he says, Lo yadati, I don't know. Hashomer achi anochi, am I my brother's keeper? And again, this is the same language that I forgot if it was Genesis 1 or 2, where God says that the purpose is to serve and to protect, and the same language is being used again about protection, which is interesting. Vayomer ma'asisi kol demei achicha tzoakim alai min adama. What have you done? The blood of your brother cries out from the ground. It's so, even this language is such a powerful image. Just this sentence about your brother's blood is crying from the ground. It's emotional.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because working the ground previously, it was the soil, not the word for not ha'adamah. Ha'adam, right? Because you could have ha'aretz, right? Like from the earth or from the dirt or whatever. But here it's using a word that has Adam's name in it. Right. Yeah. It's like and dam, the blood is, dam comes from Adam, right? Like it's blood and red and ground and human is all the same thing. So it's like the Adam calls out to him, right?
Wow. Interesting. So there's a lot of like wordplay in Adama in this instance.
I think so, because just above, why doesn't it say that Cain got from the Adam his produce? It doesn't.
Sure.
It uses a different word. So.
Right. Yeah. Therefore you're going to be more cursed than the ground, which opens its mouth to take the blood from your brother. When you actually try to work the field, it's no longer going to be easy. You're going to become a wanderer in the world. So the first part I understand about the working in the field, like that kind of just, there's just such a focus on the ground of taking in the blood of the after the murder. And then there's this idea of the wandering, though. I don't know where that comes in. Like, what do you think about that in terms of the wandering and how that's connected?
Yeah, like, because justice was, like, generally speaking, us being created in the image of God also means that he wants justice undertaken by us, right? So you have stories about within the law, you have the cities of refuge, because there is within families and clans, you have an avenger of blood, right? You have someone who is going to bring about the justice, right? And so now he has to be afraid of those people, right? Like, now I can't.
This is more of a direct consequence, less of like a mystical one, in terms of got it. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the direction I go in. I know some people try to make it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Vayomer Cain el Hashem, and then Cain responded to God, Gadol anavoni minaso, that this punishment is too great to bear. I didn't read it. The literal avoni is like it means sin. Here translated as punishment, but I would read it as like this sin is too great to bear. But it's interesting here that it translated as punishment. So maybe I'm not sure what
I think you're right, because I don't know how you interpret this, but my interpretation is that Cain doesn't actually apologize here. He he did something wrong, and now he's upset that
Right.
there's consequences for what he did.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is, as you said, this is repeating Adam's mistake. It's a replay of it. Just he has no one else to blame, unfortunately.
Yeah. He got no woman, so.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, and
Talking about sin sociality will never not blow my mind. Yeah, but I feel like anything biblical, when you talk about it, it feels that way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so many comments. How do people do this? Reading it while doing the stream while looking at the comments. It's a lot of you got to be multitasking.
You don't have to. At a certain point, you just now sometimes.
No, the comments are great though.
Yeah, they're quite good. They're quite good. These people that you have in the comments right now are all gems too.
Yeah, they're amazing.
I don't know if you've seen. I do Bible study on Thursdays, so.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, I do 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know what time.
Oh, okay, that's probably why I don't know it, because that's not a great time. Yeah.
I do it on this channel, and these people show up, and they're great.
Oh, amazing! So cool.
Good folk. Anyway, I think I can do like one more verse, and then I gotta go.
Okay. Verse 14. Hein garashto si hayom al pnei adama. Upenecha esaser. Vayisi nad b'nad be'aretz vayisi kol mitei yargeni. I think this is Cain still talking. He's saying that since you're banishing me, upenecha esaser, I'm gonna have to hide my face, and I'm going to be wandering the world, and anyone who meets me is going to kill me. I think he's again expressing a further concern here about.
But look at the use of face. It specifically says the face of the Adamah. It's the Pani of Ha-Adamah.
Right.
Right. Which again, if you're taking it as avenger of blood, right? Anyone who meets me may kill me. Right. Like there's. You can't live with your parents anymore. You're going to have to move out after you did that to your brother, right?
Sure.
They're the ones who are going to bring justice. So it's too much for me. And he has to move away from the face of the Adamah.
Right. Yeah. Vayomer lo Hashem l'chein kol hari kain shevasayim yukum v'yasim Hashem l'kain os levilti hakos asokomotzer. So then, I guess God agrees to this, and he says, because of that, anyone who kills you, I'll make sure that they get punished like sevenfold, and I'm going to put a sign on you and that way I guess people know not to come near you. Is that the idea? It's like the symbol that you shouldn't be killed.
This is one of the verses that I don't know how to interpret. What is the mark on his face? What is it?
Yeah, and also my first association is like in Judaism, the os is mainly mentioned two places where we put on the tefillin, and also for Shabbos is also referenced as an os. Right. So this is like referenced in the case of a murder, and it's talking about an os. So it's very interesting. And also, how does this help? Like if you put the symbol, it sounds like you're a bigger target. Like you have the symbol of God after you sinned, so it seems counterintuitive.
Right.
Oh, and Jacob was mentioning also. Thank you, Jacob. I forgot about this. The circumcision as well is also an os. So those are like the three that reference this language of os, and it's just so interesting to see it here as well. I don't want to hold you up, by the way, Dave. You have to.
This is kind of funny because one of the interpretations is that it he changes color, right? It becomes. If you look up the mark of Cain, it was interpreted by some people to be black people for a period of time, which had a whole racist past to it. But I'd love to see if there's an older interpretation about some of that stuff. Anyway, this is a Christian idea. Yeah, a heretical Christian idea. So if you look at the mark of Cain or the curse of Cain, you're gonna see stuff on like race theory.
Interesting.
Yeah, but they want it both ways because that's pre-flood, and they also want to make it the curse of Ham.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking that.
Pick a lane. I'm going to keep watching, but I want to know something from you. I hope you cover it, whether or not Cain, you view him as repentant. Yosef views him as repentant because his descendants have Havel in their names.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know
So
that.
yeah,
That's
so
interesting.
a lot of his descendants memorialize Abel. So is he repentant? Because I don't
Right.
read him as repentant. Maybe, certainly not in the initial interaction.
He's
Um,
definitely upset, if that
yeah,
helps.
and this verse that you're referencing right now is going to be again, the children triple down on the parents' decision. He's going to
Mhm.
have a kid, Tubal Cain, who is named
Yeah,
after him, is the
right.
creator of weapons of war, like
Yeah,
items of bronze, but interpreted as weapons of war.
yeah,
So again, the child
sure.
who literally has the same name, right?
Yeah.
And Cain meaning maybe a smith or something.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway, I'm gonna
Thank-
I'll be rewatching or watching the end of this as well.
Awesome.
You're
Thanks so
doing a
much. I
good
really appreciate you
job.
joining. It was a big
Yeah.
help. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So moving on to verse 16. Vayetze Cain milfnei Hashem, vayashav eretz Nod kinas Eden, and Cain left the presence of God and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. I assume that just refers to the Garden of Eden. I want to catch up on some comments here. Um, so let's see. I think I'm too behind. I'm not sure what everyone's talking about at this point, to be honest. Can you imagine God teaching them how to read by using children's books? Um, Cain's wife was just woman number 2 in the credits of Genesis 4. That's pretty funny on God. Vayida Cain is Ishto, and Cain knew his wife Atar Batilat is Chanoch, and she gave birth to Chanoch. Vayibona Ir, and Chanoch built a city. Vayikra Shema Ir, Kashem Beno Chanoch, and they named the city after their child Chanoch. Vayivale Lachanoch is Irad, and then Chanoch gave birth to Irad. Irad Yalad es Michiel, and Irad gave birth to Michiel. Michiel Yalad es Misushael, Misushael Yalad es Lamach. So this is just getting into some genealogy here of the families. Vayikach lo Lemach shtei nashim, and Lemach took 2 wives. Shema Achas Ada, the first wife was Ada. V'Shema Shena Tzila. And then Batilat Ada is Yavel, and then Ada gave birth to Yavel, Huhay Avi, and Yoshef Ohel Umikna. He was the first person who, I guess, was a shepherd. I mean, it said earlier that Hevel was a shepherd, but he was the first one who dwelled in tents amidst the herds. Verse 21, Vishem Achiv Yuval Huhaya Avi Koltofesh Kinar Ugav, and then the name of the brother was Yuval. He was the first person, I guess, to play musical instruments. Cal is saying that it's raised cattle specifically. I don't know what the significance of that is. Oh, not necessarily a shepherd. What's the difference between a shepherd and someone who raises cattle? I have no idea. So you may need to educate me on that. Actually, I think Sherry's here. She would probably know the answer to that question. Vitsila Gamhu Yalda as Tuvakayan, and Sila gave birth to Tuvakayan, Lotesh, Kochoresh, Nechoshes, Barzel. This is what David was saying before he dropped off, that they forged implements of copper and iron. Va'achos Tuvakayan Nama, and the sister of Tuvakayan was Nama. So Tuvakayan was the first person to invent weapons that were used. Verse 23, Vayomer Lemach Lanashiv Ada Vatzila Shemai Koli. Lemach said to his wives, Ada and Zila, Shemai Koli, listen to my voice. Neshe Lemach Chazina Imrasi. Wives of Lemach, give ear to my speech. Ki ish harakti lepitzi v'yel l'chaburasi. He's confessing that he killed someone by mistake. I'm pretty sure this is speaking about, I think he accidentally killed Cain. Am I I think that's what happened here. I'm trying to remember. Is there like a text here about that? Trying to remember if he killed. Did he kill Cain here? I can't remember what the context of the speeches that he gives to his wives. He killed someone by mistake. If someone in the comments knows. Oh, okay. I was saying I should look at Rashi. Let me see if I can understand what he's saying. I'll pull it up. Let's see. Oh, got it. So he killed Cain and Tubal Cain. So he killed them both. So he thought Cain was an animal and he killed him. And then once he realized that he killed Cain, he accidentally killed his son after that realization. So it was like a bad day for Lemech. He killed two people by mistake. The verse 23 says, I'll close this up to make everyone could see it. Ki shivasayim yukum kayin v'lemech shivim v'shiva. So if Cain was avenged sevenfold, Lemech shivim v'shiva, then Lemech should be 77-fold. And I think he's trying to say that since he killed by accident, his punishment should be less than Cain's. Vayeda Adam od es ishto vateled bain vatikar shmo Shes, and Adam had another child, and they named him Shes. Ki shasli elokim zer acher takas helvaker kayin, and they named him Shes because God has provided me with another offspring in place of Abel. Ulashes gamhu yulad bain vayikra shmo Enosh, and Shes also had a child, and they called him Enosh. Az huchal l'kro b'shem Hashem. What does that mean? Az huchal l'kro b'shem Hashem. It was then that God began to be invoked by name. I'm not sure what the connection of the name Enosh is and that he began to invoke the name of God. I'm not sure what this verse means. Oh, good point. I didn't mention that Lemech was blind. Those are some crazy logical steps, Rashi. Yes, it is a crazy story, but Rashi is always just quoting the Talmud or the Medrash. It's not he's not really saying his own interpretation, typically speaking. So that's the end of the chapter. I definitely need to get a better understanding of what happened exactly in that story with the killing of Lemech. And I'm not sure what this final verse is talking about in terms of the connection of the name Enosh, and it was then that God began to be invoked by name. I have no idea what that means. Jacob says, see Rambam, sin of Enosh. Okay, I'll have to check that up. The sun doesn't age well, though. Okay, Jacob is quoting. Okay. I'm thinking for the next chapter, for chapter 5, I'm not sure if maybe I should just do it's basically all the genealogy of all the people all the families. I'm thinking maybe just reading the Hebrew of that. Maybe I'll read it in like the tune that we read at the synagogue every week. I'm not sure if people would be interested in that, or if they prefer me just to walk through all the verses. But I was thinking of doing it with the trup, just to give people a flavor of what that sounds like. Maybe people want to learn the trup of the text and how it's sung typically week to week. I was thinking to experiment that on next week. I don't know if people would be interested in that. But for right now, I think we've gone 40 minutes here. So I usually like someone to join, but David already joined earlier. So I think I'm just gonna end the stream here. And oh, Sherry wants to hear the chant. Oh no. And Daniel does too. How could I deny either of you? I'm not a professional. I'm not like there are people who do it every week at their synagogue. I'm more of like, I can pull it off, but I'm not like a pro at it. But I thought people might be interested in hearing what that sounds like. And it's kind of the next chapter is just pretty boring, if you can call it that. Just going through the families. I always find that to be fascinating. Just on a side note, that the Torah lists all the families so specifically, and it gets into all the names to people that we don't know anything about. In general, that's a side note that we could talk about next time. I think that's fascinating. Okay, so stay tuned for the next one. And I also just one other note. I plan on doing a different series on the Ein Yaakov, which is a compilation of texts of the Talmud. So the Talmud itself is a bit too technical, I think, and it's like a bit rigorous to go through the text of the Talmud. But the Ein Yaakov is a compilation of all like the stories and esoteric texts of the Talmud. So I want to do a separate stream on that. I hope to do that. That will be a little bit more difficult. I think this is more like just thinking out loud, just going through the verses. And my stream on the Talmud, I would have to prepare more, and actually I can't do it live like I'm doing it now because it would be much more technical, even though it's the more of the esoteric text. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream now. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate the comments. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to all of them today because I was talking to David. But I'm looking forward to the next one. Thank you so much. Have a great night.